Part 106. The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1053. 1051. Huo Yingji changed. She has changed. Now even the stubborn Mo Ye has changed. Comparing it, Yunur's life was intertwined with love and hate. In her previous life, she was humble and weak, only this life was her truly happy life. In this case, why waste time thinking about unpleasant things? He Tian is not greedy. She cannot change how she was before, she just wants to seize the happiness now. No, they are searching and rescuing nearby, Huo Yingji said, but I will send you to an island 100 kilometers away, and then let Kui Ying and Wei Yuan search and rescue you in that direction. After you get on the boat, I will leave again, so don't be afraid, everything is with me. Yeah, he Tian nodded, then let's go. Okay, Huo Yingji agreed and was about to use his energy to leave the barrier, but a charming girl came from behind. Yunur. This is Xiaoli's voice. He Tian turned around, because her name was He Tian now, and her name was Yunur in her previous life. I didn't see Xiaoli, just Xiaoli's voice. He Tian now has all the memories of Yunur, and naturally knows who this woman is. She and Yunur used to be very good sisters. Because of the man, the relationship between the two became more and more distant, so that later, Xiaoli became jealous of Yunur and did many things to hurt Yunur. But that's all in the past, and Huo Yingji has already helped her take revenge. Now the relationship between Xiaoli and Moi seems to have changed. What do you want me to do? He Tian asked. You know, we haven't seen each other for a long time and want to rekindle our old friendship, so if you have anything to say, just say it. I'm sorry, Xiaoli said, I just love Mo Ye too much, and I have done so many wrong things, harming others and myself. I almost died just now. I know my mistakes and I am no longer obsessed with it. Doing unreasonable things in the name of love is also deformed. For example, Xiaoli now, or Zhou Yuan in the past. He Tian listened and said softly, the feelings we had in the past have all been worn out. I hope we never meet again. Even if we do, I hope we can meet as passers-by. We can go our separate ways and not interfere with each other. Hearing He Tian say this, Xiaoli was already very satisfied. In this way, she could finally be with Mo Ye and live in this paradise with peace of mind. Please take care of it, Xiaoli said, smiling with tears in his eyes. He Tian nodded and jumped into the air with Huo Yingji in his arms. With a loud noise, Huo Yingji rushed out with He Tian in his arms. A big hole was ripped out of the barrier, but it quickly rejoined and calm returned. Mo Ye was behind Xiaoli, looking into the sky. Have you really let it go? Xiaoli didn't look back, but looked up at the sky. I don't know, Mo Ye nodded, but I can be sure that when you died in front of me, I only had one thought in my heart, to exchange everything for your life. The first half of the sentence made Xiaoli feel bitter. The second half of the sentence made Xiaoli ecstatic again. He let Yunur go. If he is nervous about her, does that mean he likes her? She didn't dare ask, which was fine. Xiaoli is patient enough to continue working on her relationship. Let's go home, Xiaoli said. She had been with him for so long and finally warmed up to the stone. In the future, she would use more energy to treat him well and make him fall in love with her completely. Okay, Mo Ye nodded, not feeling disappointed because of Yunur and Huo Yingji leaving, but feeling relieved. This time, there was a change, so he would try to follow his own will, stop being stubborn, and feel the little raccoon around him. In this way, in 10 years, I have an explanation for Xiaoli and him. One thought becomes a devil, one thought becomes a god. He and Changling were originally the same person, but they were dominated by obsession. By harming others and himself, neither he nor Changling ended well, and even harmed the people around him. It can be said that it was Huo Yingji's sword that made Mo Ye wake up. The Snake King couldn't wait anymore and was a little impatient in the air. Finally, when Huo Yingzhe and He Tiantian came out, Huo Yingzhe set up a stronger barrier in front of that barrier, just in case. Although he and Mo Ye had an agreement, if Mo Ye did not want to abide by the agreement and appeared in the human world, with Mo Ye's temperament, a human catastrophe would definitely occur. Huo Yingzhe and He Tiantian now regard themselves as ordinary human beings, so naturally they don't want to see such a scene. Okay, we can go back, Huo Yingzhe said, the people at home will be worried about us. He Tiantian nodded and said, okay, let's go home together. Fortunately, it was a false alarm. It's time for me to go back, Tiantian, take care of yourself. The Snake King wanted to leave. It was really torture to be here, and he felt sour. He mourned his long-lost secret love again and again. When He Tiantian saw the Snake King, he remembered and invited, Snake King, we haven't seen each other for 10 years. I have moved now. You can come to my house as a guest. The Snake King actually didn't want to find someone to torture him, but when he saw Huo Yingzhe's unhappy expression, he wasn't happy either. His trip here has no merit but hard work. What kind of expression does Huo Yingzhe have? Go, you have to be a guest. Anyway, Huo Yingzhe didn't dare to bully him blatantly, no matter what Tiantian was doing. Okay, Snake King said, I also want to visit your house. Huo Yingzhe was even more unhappy. Can't you understand his face? But this little silver snake saved his wife, and Huo Yingzhe couldn't turn his back on him in front of He Tiantian. Little silver snake, wait. The Snake King raised his eyebrows at Huo Yingzhe desperately, heartless Huo Yingzhe, are you going to bite me? Anyway, no matter what Tiantian is, no matter how powerful Huo Yingzhe is, he can't do anything to him. At most, Huo Yingzhe will be sent to the Black Bear's den when he returns. However, he is not afraid. Okay, I opened a gourmet shop, you will definitely like it, He Tiantian said excitedly, by the way, I already have 3 children, they are very cute, you will like them. Child. The proud Snake King felt 10,000 points of hurt in his heart. Now that he has children, he has no hope. By the way, he seemed to have no hope. Forget it, don't think about it anymore, now only delicious food can comfort his riddled heart. I'll give you the coordinates and you can go home directly, He Tiantian said, by the way, the little turtle is at home and he will greet you. Okay, I'll go find that stupid turtle first. After receiving the coordinates from He Tiantian, the Snake King raised his eyebrows at Huo Yingzhe, as if to demonstrate. Huo Yingzhe didn't bother to argue with that boring little silver snake, lest he lose his dignity. Don't you know that he has unknowingly lost all the magnanimity he had? Please subscribe to the official version. Eat dirt. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1054. 1052. Let's talk about He Tianatian's plane crash, which caused a huge sensation and attracted attention from all parties. Bai Qianjiao, He Jingyu, Wang Shuping, Huo Zhekan, Zhang Lifang and others were all very surprised and very sad at the same time, fearing that something might happen to He Tiantian. At Huo Yingzhe's strong request, he followed the rescue team to the sea. This is within the scope of the East China Sea, so it is easier for Huo Yingzhe to do things. Huo Yingzhe came out to find He Tiantian, but he couldn't let others know. The avatar at home also came out to look for her, in order to give her parents and father-in-law some comfort. They couldn't be allowed to go to sea for search and rescue. As a husband, you also have necessary attitudes and actions. But that's fine. When Huo Yingzhe brought He Tiantian out, they were sent directly to an island. Huo Yingzhe directed his clone, Kui Ying, and others to come over together. When everyone was not paying attention, they had merged together and rescued He Tiantian justifiably. He Tiantian had the whistle that Wei Yuan had hung around her neck before. When she saw a bright light, He Tian Tian blew the whistle loudly. Soon the ship arrived near the island. Huo Yingzhi frowned and said, I seem to hear a whistle. Kui Ying, Huashan, and Wei Yuan also listened carefully. Yes, I heard it too, Wei Yuan said, I hung a whistle around Tianatian's neck just in case. Wei Yuan felt very guilty because of her previous dereliction of duty. Before the boat stopped, Wei Yuan jumped out of the boat and ran to the shore, regardless of getting wet from the sea water. Tian Tian, Tian Tian, Wei Yuan shouted loudly. Huo Yingzhi, Huashan, and Kui Ying also ran up. I'm here, here, He Tian Tian shouted and blew the whistle again, louder. Huo Yingzhi ran to the front and hugged He Tian Tian tightly. At this moment, it was finally safe. In the darkness, Huo Yingzhi's eyes flickered. He had found a trace of the killer's soul. When he went back, he could find out who hired the killer to kill He Tian Tian. As long as they are found out, no matter who it is, they will die. Let's go home, Huo Yingzhi said softly, holding He Tian Tian in his arms to prevent her from getting into the water again. When we got to the boat, there was hot water, so He Tian Tian quickly took a bath. Huo Yingzhi cast a spell in Wei Yuan's mind, changing the image of He Tian Tian disappearing in her mind to being involved in the waves. As for Huashan and Kui Ying, there is no need to do this, they know the details. He Tian Tian washed up and changed into clothes. Kui Ying and Wei Yuan have prepared delicious food for He Tian Tian. I'm starving to death, He Tian Tian said. She already had a big appetite, but she was already hungry now. Eat slowly, there's still more, Kui Ying said, I'll serve you some porridge. Thank you, He Tian Tian ate first and then spoke after finishing eating. After eating and drinking, Wei Yuan asked, Tian Tian, how did you get to that island? As soon as I fell into the sea, I took off the parachute on my back and swam forward with all my strength. As you know, I learned to swim, and I can do it with speed and strength, but I actually swam to a sea with less wind and waves. I couldn't see you. In order to maintain my strength, I drifted along the waves and reached the island. I climbed up and waited for you to rescue me. He Tian Tian said, this is a more reasonable explanation that was prepared before. Ah, Wei Yuan was dubious, I can only say that you were lucky. We searched for you for a long time when you were involved in the storm, but we couldn't find you. At that time, I felt very guilty and blamed myself for not protecting you properly. Seeing Wei Yuan like this, He Tian Tian felt a little sorry and said, okay, you have tried your best. Fortunately, I had the biscuits and water you prepared before. I persisted for a day and a night. Otherwise, even if I hid here, I wouldn't be able to hold on such a long time. Seeing that He Tian Tian didn't blame her, Wei Yuan felt a little better, but she made up her mind to be more cautious in the future. Okay, let's go out and let Tian Tian have a good rest, Kui Ying said. Fortunately, He Tian Tian has been found, otherwise she would feel very sorry. When Kui Ying and Wei Yuan left, Huo Yingzhi came in. Make the bed and hug He Tian Tian to sleep. Last night, He Tian Tian didn't sleep well. She was woken up by the roar of beasts from time to time, and she was awakened by the fragments in her mind. In this way, sleep quality is particularly poor. Later, he met that lunatic Mo Ye and said those messy words, and Huo Yingzhi started fighting with Mo Ye. That Mo Ye stopped fighting for no reason, saying he had given up. What a complete lunatic. Then, He Tian Tian got the hairpin made of zia flower, which gave He Tian Tian a complete memory. The whole brain is constantly flooded with all kinds of information, which makes it very tiring. Now with Huo Yingzhi by her side, she could finally sleep peacefully without thinking about anything. Huo Yingzhi had noticed He Tianatian's mental tension and lit a piece of soothing incense, so He Tian Tian fell asleep peacefully without dreaming. He was in a very relaxed state, resting his body and brain to the maximum extent. However, after He Tian Tian fell asleep, Huo Yingzhi had no one. He couldn't wait to get back home and interrogate who hired the killer to assassinate his wife. This disaster happened so suddenly that Huo Yingzhe was still frightened. Fortunately, this time we encountered Mo Ye, who was not at his peak strength, so He Tian was fine. What if we meet another killer again? If the mastermind behind it is not found, as long as there is money, the killer can be hired again. Huo Yingzhe will not allow this to happen again, so he must find out who his employer is. After He Tian fell asleep, Huo Yingzhe created a barrier and released the Ray of Soul. That sea area has always been stable and accidents rarely occur, so it is easy to collect. A puff of white smoke came out of the bottle, and he stood lightly in front of Huo Yingzhe. At this time, when the soul saw the person in front of him and He Tian sleeping beside him, he immediately understood and struggled, "I won't say." Huo Yingzhe sneered and said, "It's not whether you can say it, but you must say it." After saying this, he hit the soul with a spell, causing the killer to scream. "I'll give you a break, otherwise, you will suffer like this every moment," Huo Yingzhe said. No matter what, he would not let go of the executioner with blood-stained hands. The soul wanted to resist at first, but after hearing such words, it could no longer bear the pain and said, "I don't know the employer. You are just a tool to kill people, so you are naturally not qualified to know about those wealthy employers," Huo Yingzhe said, "but your organization must know. Tell me about your situation. I can always tell you based on your situation. Go look for it up there." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1055. 1053. When the killer heard this, a sinister look flashed in his eyes. The organization he belongs to is not someone to be trifled with. Since this person is looking for death, let him die. As a killer, he failed his mission and was already dead, so he had nothing to fear, so he told Huo Yingzhe everything he knew. Huo Yingzhe listened carefully, not missing a word. That's all. About half an hour later, the killer stopped and Huo Yingzhe asked, "This information really isn't that useful?" The killer nodded and said, "Well, yes, I know everything I have said, and I hope it can help you. As you said before, give me a good time." He was already dead anyway, and he didn't want to suffer the consequences even if he died. "As you wish," Huo Yingzhe nodded, and saw that the white eyes in front of him had dissipated, and there was nothing left. After the interrogation, Huo Yingzhe lay gently next to He Tian. He Tian felt the familiar breath, rolled into Huo Yingzhe's arms, opened her hazy eyes, glanced at Huo Yingzhe, and continued to sleep. Huo Yingzhe patted He Tian's back gently. This time, He Tian suffered too much. Huo Yingzhe did not sleep, but was sorting out what the killer had said before. It is the 5th-ranked assassin organization in the world. Its name is Solo. It is headquartered in Italy and has branches on 5 continents. That killer is one of the top 10 killers in Solo and belongs to the Asian branch in Hokkaido, Japan. This task should be received from the Asian branch, indicating that the employer is Asian. This point also echoes Huo Yingzhe and He Tian's guess that it might really be Lu Lingli. In this way, Huo Yingzhe collected some useful information and then planned how to go to Hokkaido, Japan to find information. This time, it really scared Huo Yingzhe. So Huo Yingzhe immediately transformed into a clone, continued to stay with He Tian, and then went to Hokkaido, Japan alone, to find out who his employer was as soon as possible. With the information provided by the previous killer, Huo Yingzhe arrived at the Japanese branch after dawn. Huo Yingzhe directly became invisible. At the same time, he also knew all kinds of modern high technologies, so he easily broke through the defense lines and reached the central area of the branch. Because it was daytime and there were people here, it was not easy for Huo Yingji to attack. Had to wait until night to search again. Living up to expectations, Huo Yingji found an employer named Red Rose. Haha, Red Rose. It sounds like a pseudonym. But it's not bad, it narrowed the scope, and at the same time, it can use a name like Red Rose, it should be a girl. Take people's money and eliminate disasters for them. Now that this organization has released the killer, it proves that it has received a portion of the employer's money. In this way, there will be a record of the remittance. Red roses can only be found based on remittance records. Huo Yingji searched and found that the money was transferred from a Swiss bank. Compared to going to Switzerland to search for remittance records, Huo Yingji thought of a simpler method, which was the art of divination. But you can't do it here. Because He Tiantian was his wife, Huo Yingji could not accurately calculate his wife's fortunes. Especially now that He Tiantian had recovered his previous memory and energy, it was even more difficult than before. If he insists on doing it, there will be backlash. It's obviously not a good place to be attacked here. It's better to go home. At least it's safe and someone will take care of you. After Huo Yingji got this information, he knew what was going on and was ready to go home and continue. The Snake King came to He Tianatian's house early and became invisible. But I was blocked outside and couldn't go in. The little spinner turtle thought someone was invading, so he cautiously poked his head out from the wall and saw the Snake King. "Stupid turtle, you don't even recognize me," Snake King laughed and said, "Hurry up and open the barrier and let me in." The little spin turtle was naturally very happy when he saw the Snake King. He said with a smile, "Snake King, didn't you go back to the demon world? Why are you back?" "I felt something was wrong with Tiantian, so I came to save her," the Snake King said. Although this turtle was very stupid, the Snake King was still very happy to meet his old friend in a foreign land. "Is Madam okay?" Little Spin Turtle asked. "How is Master?" "With me, the Snake King, everything will be fine," the Snake King said. "Okay, no need to say more, just let me in." The little Spin Turtle thought for a moment and said, "No." The Snake King was stunned, frowned, and asked, "Why not? I am a sweet friend. I thought this turtle was pretty good just now, but now I look at it and it's really annoying." The master said that no one is allowed to come in without his permission," the little spinner said responsibly. "My magic power is not high enough to defeat you, and I can't guarantee that you won't do evil to the Japanese in the yard. I bother. This stupid turtle is just as annoying as his master. I worked so hard to come to the human world and saved your wife and master. You still won't let me in. Is this how you treat guests?" The Snake King was angry. Huo Yingji bullied others. This little stupid turtle also bully people. "Snake King, I'm sorry, I don't want to do this, but I have to do it," said the little spinner turtle. "I want to protect the safety of my family." The Snake King was angry, but he also knew that Huo Yingji was probably scared, so it was normal to think about it. He nodded and said, "Okay, then I'll wait outside the door, but you have to chat with me before I can forgive you." Seeing that the Snake King was no longer angry, the little spin turtle nodded repeatedly and said, "Yes, yes, I must know everything and say everything." In the next 2 days, the Snake King learned from Huo Yingji what had happened in the past 10 years. "My heart is really full of mixed feelings and I am very sad." The little spinner turtle also brought delicious food to the Snake King every day, and the Snake King's temper gradually disappeared. After 10 years of absence, he has become increasingly distant from He Tianatian's life. Let's say that He Tiantian also came to Hainan, boarded a military plane and flew directly to Yanjing. He Tiantian was first sent to a military hospital for examination and rest before going home. He Tiantian arrived home and was welcomed by her family. The 3 children, on the other hand, are a bit inexplicable. Grandpa and Grandpa are so enthusiastic. Mom was just going to compete. Only the adults knew about He Tianatian's accident, and they didn't tell the children, so they didn't know. What's going on? He Jingyu asked, please tell me carefully. He Tiantian and Huo Yingji discussed it and decided to tell their grandmother about their encounter with the killer so that they could pay attention. Grandma, we met a killer, He Tiantian said. Someone wanted to kill me, but before we knew it, the killer had killed the captain and the stewardess. I parachuted under the protection of Wei Yuan and Kui Ying. So he survived. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1056. 1054. This is not a good person. He has always been hated by wealthy businessmen and powerful people. Killer, Bai Qianjiao was stunned, but soon returned to normal. Is he an opponent of the Bai family? Unlike, if you want to deal with the Bai family, you don't have to worry about dealing with He Tiantian. It's more direct and effective to deal with her, He Jingyu, and He Daodu. How could there be a killer? Wang Shuping said hurriedly, we haven't offended anyone. He Jingyu did not refute immediately. Following his mother, he also learned about the family business. Some of it was shady. Maybe it was for the Bai family. He Tiantian just suffered an unreasonable disaster. He Tiantian shook her head and said, I don't know who wants to kill me. Bai Qianjiao nodded and said, Tiantian, don't go abroad until you find the mastermind. I will send people to investigate this matter, and I will definitely find the mastermind behind it and avenge you. Bai Qianjiao decided to use old connections to find the mastermind, but this required time to investigate and could not be found immediately. Thank you, Grandma, He Tiantian said. That person didn't succeed and will probably continue to hire killers. The thought of a poisonous snake staring at me in the dark makes me shudder. Well, yes, so we must eradicate the roots, Bai Qianjiao said, regaining his previous decisiveness in killing. If you dare to touch someone from the Bai family, you will have to bear the consequences of offending the Bai family. Huo Jekan was slightly worried, but this was too bad and he had to do something. Tiantian, I will use the Huo family's connections at night to find the mastermind. At the same time, I will send more people to protect your safety, Huo Jekan said, feeling a little distressed when he saw He Tiantian, who was in low spirits. Fortunately, the crisis was over. He couldn't imagine what would happen to his son, granddaughter, and grandson if something happened to He Tiantian. He Tiantian nodded and said, well, I will pay attention to it in the future and try not to go abroad. Tiantian, don't be afraid, we are already home, Zhang Lifang said, go to bed first. I will wake you up after dinner. Yeah. Thank you, Mom, He Tiantian chuckled. Wang Shuping couldn't let go of her daughter, so she followed her into the house. Okay, go to sleep, Wang Shuping said, helping her daughter close the curtains, pouring half a glass of water, and placing it on He Tiantian's bedside. Thank you for your hard work, Mom, He Tiantian thanked her, because she had made her family worried. I will pay attention to it in the future, and such dangerous things will not happen again. I hope so, Wang Shuping said. Okay, you can go to sleep and don't think too much. When Wang Shuping saw her daughter closing her eyes, she came out gently. Hey, my daughter must have been frightened this time. She must make something delicious to nourish her. People outside were asking Huo Yingji about the process of rescuing He Tiantian, and Huo Yingji came one by one. After dinner, He Tiantian felt better and chatted with everyone for a while before going back to the house. There was only Huo Yingji and He Tiantian in the room. Huo Yingji used secret techniques to figure out who assassinated He Tiantian. Xiangjiang already found the location. However, it was more difficult than he imagined, but it had reached this point and Huo Yingji didn't want to give up. Cough cough cough, Huo Yingji spat out a mouthful of blood and quickly wiped the corners of his mouth, not wanting to wake up He Tiantian. However, He Tiantian had already had enough sleep in the afternoon and was not asleep at this time. She was just closing her eyes to rest. At this time, Hearing Huo Yingji's cough accompanied by the sound of liquid splashing out, He Tian immediately opened her eyes and saw Huo Yingji covering his mouth, but blood was still seeping from his fingers. "Brother Yingji, what's wrong with you?" He Tian asked, "why are you vomiting blood?" "It's okay, I'm fine. I just used some secret techniques to find out who is the mastermind behind this." Huo Yingji took out a handkerchief and wiped his mouth, then said softly. Unable to find the mastermind, Huo Yingji had trouble sleeping and eating. In the past, He Tian might have believed Huo Yingji's words, but now she didn't believe it because she knew that Huo Yingji's body would be greatly harmed after the backlash, so she quickly stopped him. "Brother Yingji, don't continue." "But those masterminds." Huo Yingji didn't give up and wanted to continue, but when he saw He Tian's stern eyes, he had to stop. "Brother Yingji, there are many ways to find the mastermind. There is no need to do this. The cost is too high. I don't want you to get hurt." He Tian said, "Hurry up and rinse your mouth." Huo Yingji took the cup and went directly to the bathroom. He cleaned up before coming in so as not to worry He Tian. "It's okay, don't worry, it's just a mouthful of blood," Huo Yingji said calmly, "I'll get the results right away." If it were in the past, He Tian might have believed Huo Yingji's words, but now that she had memories of past lives, how could she still believe this man's white lies? He Tian was a little distressed, but also a little angry, and said, "I want to know, but I never want you to get hurt. As long as I am in the country, I will be safe. At worst, I won't go abroad. Grandma has already checked it out. I believe it won't be long. We can find out later. Why do you have to suffer this?" Huo Yingji had a neck-and-neck fight with Mo Ye before. Although he was also injured, it didn't hurt him fundamentally. But now in order to use the secret technique, he vomited blood and began to suffer backlash. Huo Yingji hugged He Tian gently, and then said softly, "I can't sleep or eat well if I don't find that person. Besides, you are my wife, and I don't want you to get any harm. I want to find out the real culprit myself. You take revenge." Seeing what Huo Yingji said, He Tian couldn't keep complaining and complaining, which ruined Huo Yingji's mood. "You did this all for me. I'm very grateful, but I'm not happy. I don't want you to do this. I'm worried. Promise me not to use secret techniques again." He Tian said, "This man is just too stupid." Faced with He Tian's strong request, Huo Yingji could only nod and said, "Okay, I won't continue. Fortunately, we have just found the location of the mastermind, Xiangjiang. It's not that Huo Yingji doesn't dare to use the secret technique, but after using it, Huo Yingji will lie down for half a month. By then, He Tian will definitely be even more angry and even have a cold war. Well, this will reduce the scope. We can send people to investigate." He Tian said, "we can always find clues. These years have been smooth sailing, and I thought I would always be safe and sound, but I didn't expect such an incident, which really scared Huo Yingji. Therefore, it is understandable for Huo Yingji to do such a thing." Kui Heng happened to be going to attend an auction in Xiangjiang, so Huashan followed Kui Heng to Xiangjiang to investigate the mastermind who murdered He Tian. From Huashan to Xiangjiang. Before I checked it out, I saw the entertainment section of the newspaper while having breakfast in the hotel. Zhao Dingxianghui, the head of the Zhao family, and her son Zhao Sun seized 80% of the Zhao family's property. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Qi Xing Cao. Chapter 1057. 1055. Huashan didn't care about seizing the property. What he cared about was the name, Zhao Dingxianghui. Married women from prestigious families in Hong Kong always add their husband's surname in front of their names, so if you remove Zhao in the front, Dingxianghui will follow. At the same time, I also felt that Zhao Dingxianghui's face was a bit strange. Huashan still doesn't know about plastic surgery. Huashan watched it with gusto. The entertainment industry in Hong Kong is developing so fast. While Huashan was investigating in Xiangjiang, He Tiantian was also taken care of by his family. Wang Shuping even gave He Tiantian soup every day, but most of it ended up in Huo Yingji's stomach. It happened that Huo Yingji suffered internal injuries, but no one else knew about it, so he didn't receive any extra attention from everyone. Only He Tiantian knew, so she shared the good things with Huo Yingji. Seeing that her daughter could eat, Wang Shuping was happy and worked harder on the soup. The special department also conducted an investigation into He Tianatian's matter. As for the results of the investigation, the results have not yet been obtained. However, Huo Yingji's family received a lot of special gifts, and he probably hoped to compensate He Tiantian in material terms. When Coach Wu heard that something had happened to He Tiantian, he was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat. Fortunately, he found the person, otherwise his position would have been lost, and he would have missed out on a good athlete who would shine in the future Olympics. After hearing that He Tiantian said she was not feeling well, Coach Wu directly granted him a 2-month vacation. He Tiantian didn't want to experience such an assassination again. As for falling into the magic night barrier, it can be considered a blessing in disguise. I got a complete memory of the past and temporarily understood a 10,000-year grudge. He Tianatian's heart is filled with memories that need to be slowly digested and settled. She doesn't want so many memories to affect her current life. Fortunately, I don't have to go to training now. I can have a good rest at home every day, watch TV, cook, and take care of my children. As He Tianatian's condition improved, Bai Qianjiao, He Jingyu, Wang Shuping, and He Daodu left. After all, they all still had work and study. Huo Jekan was a senior official in Jiangsu province and could not leave his post for a long time, so the couple returned to Nanxi. Peace returned to the house. Zhang Wenwen, Qi Xiaoyan, Wang Ying, and Yuan Hua often come over to accompany He Tiantian, sometimes going shopping and drinking tea together. Now every time he goes out, He Tiantian is protected by at least 4 people. This made He Tianatian's life a bit cumbersome. He protested several times, but was rejected by Huo Yingji and the people in the Huo family's old house. We can only accept this arrangement. Let's say that after the Snake King heard what the little spin turtle said about the past 10 years, he felt a little melancholy and went to relax. He Tiantian has been back for a week now, and he hasn't seen the Snake King yet. Little spin turtle, where is the Snake King? He Tiantian asked. I made an agreement with him before and let him come here. The little spinner turtle felt a little guilty and said, the master said before that no spirits are allowed to come in without your permission and his permission, so after the Snake King came over, I didn't let him in. I guess he was angry. But I gave him a lot of delicious food. I chatted with him, and I wasn't angry anymore, but I seemed a little disappointed, so I said I was going to relax and would come back after a while. The little spinner's voice became smaller and smaller, and the more he spoke, the more he felt like he was nothing. He Tiantian was stunned for a moment, then smiled and said, haha, the Snake King probably went out to play. You also followed our instructions. Don't feel guilty. When the Snake King comes, I will apologize to him properly. Yes, ma'am. The little spinner felt more comfortable. He would also apologize to the Snake King when the time came and give up his role to the Snake King. The little turtle went back, and Huo Yingji came out of the study. What's wrong? Huo Yingji asked. The little turtle seemed a little unhappy just now. The little spin turtle won't let the Snake King in. He Tiantian repeated what the little spin turtle just said. Huo Yingji's eyes lit up and he thought to himself, well done. I will reward the little spinner turtle well later. No wonder he felt very peaceful these days. It turned out that the Snake King went to relax and did not appear in front of him. But when he thought that the little silver snake would come back after relaxing, Huo Yingji felt unhappy. But this is just the beginning, and there is more to come. After the Snake King walked around outside for a few times, he felt much better. Thinking about the delicacies at Hetianation's house and the benefits promised by the little spin turtle, he came back. But this time, he took on human form. He stole denim bell-bottom pants from the most popular clothing store among young people, put on a white t-shirt, put on a pair of white sneakers, put on toed glasses, added a bunch of cool little yellow hair on his head, and they are similar to the fashionable young people on the street. However, the Snake King is very good looking, with a young and tender face, fair skin, beautiful eyes, a tall nose, and plump yet cold lips. While walking on the road, young girls would stare at the Snake King from time to time. The Snake King is proud that he looks so good. Walking to Mauer Alley, Huaruiman, who was returning from a friend's house, happened to see the Snake King beside him. Huaruiman was accompanied by 2 bodyguards, one male and one female. Apart from her father, Huaruiman had never seen such a good-looking man before, so she couldn't help but take a second look. This little brother was so good-looking, even better looking than the stars on TV. She was always cheerful and generous and asked, "Hello, I am Huaruiman, what is your name?" Me, the Snake King was startled, and looked at the girl in front of him who was up to his waist. "We don't know each other, why should I tell you?" Ah, Huaruiman was stunned. This was the first time she encountered such a situation. It turned out that there were people who didn't want to be friends with her. "Okay, I'm sorry, I'm offended." Huaruiman turned her head, her face flushed, regretting what she had just done. "Mom said that she is now a grown-up girl and can no longer speak as freely as before. The person in front of you is a stranger. You cannot come forward to speak. It will be considered rude." The 2 bodyguards at the back were told by He Tian that they were only responsible for protecting Huaruiman's safety. As for other aspects, they were not allowed to interfere. When a child encounters a problem, he will handle it on his own. If he cannot handle it well, he will tell his parents when he returns home, and the parents will teach him how to deal with it. When the Snake King heard this, he felt that what he just said was a bit too much. "Li Xian," Snake King replied, "my name." "Oh," Huaruiman agreed, she would not take the initiative to talk to this person. The 2 of them were walking quietly in the alley. "I'm home," Huaruiman said, "goodbye." The Snake King was stunned, he was also going to this house. "Who are you, He Tian?" Snake King asked, taking a closer look at the little girl's appearance. "At this glance, it doesn't matter, I can see the door." The Huaruiman in front of her had a chubby face, but her eyebrows looked a bit like Hetianation's. She was probably Hetianation's daughter. Seeking genuine subscription. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1058. 1056. That's it for the first meeting. A little embarrassing. The Snake King thought for a while, and couldn't give anything to his eldest niece. Then he took out a dagger inlaid with gems from his arms and said, "My eldest niece, I give it to you." Seeing that his wife and master were there, the little spin turtle did not stop the Snake King and allowed the Snake King to talk to Huaruiman. Wait until night, he will apologize to the Snake King again. Eldest niece, Huaruiman was stunned. Who is your eldest niece? Don't take advantage of me. Although Huaruiman was born in Kijia village and spent several years in Nanji, after he had memories, they were all in Yanjing. He was a typical big girl from Yanjing, an unknown boy who wanted to be his uncle. Beautiful thought. The Snake King was stunned. His tone and expression were so similar to Hetianation's. "I am really your uncle. Then I'll go home and ask my dad," Huaruiman said, rolling her cute little eyes. Actually, you can ask your father, I am a relative on your mother's side, the Snake King said. You can also call me uncle. Humph. You're not my uncle. I'm afraid my uncle is Hidaudu. Anyway, I'll ask my mother when I get home. You don't look like a bad guy. I'll ask my mother. For the sake of his good looks, give him a chance. At such a young age, appearance is already a factor. The Snake King followed the little girl dumbfounded. The two bodyguards at the back thought it was funny and said softly, "Wait a moment, someone will come to see you later." The Snake King can only wait. Hey, humans are really troublesome. Huaruiman ran back into the house and shouted anxiously, "Mom, there is a big brother named Li Xian outside. He comes to find you." One moment he asked me to call him uncle, and the next moment he asked me to call him uncle. Li Xian? Who is this? Where is it? He Tian asked. Take mom out for a look. Huo Yingjia frowned. What was supposed to come came anyway. He was a little unhappy and went directly to the study. Out of sight, out of mind. He Tian and Huo Ruiman came outside the second door and saw the Snake King. "Li Xian," said the Snake King, "my name is Li Xian." Oh. He Tian suddenly realized that this was the name of the Snake King. "Li Xian is such a good name, Ruiman, call me uncle." He Tian felt that she was now the Snake King's sister. Now that the Snake King has admitted that he is Huo Ruiman's uncle, he must have thought about it and doesn't have to worry about those messy things. Huo Ruiman looked choked. He was really an uncle. Mom. Huo Ruiman felt a little embarrassed. That's obviously the eldest brother. The Snake King looked so tender that Huo Ruiman didn't want to call him uncle. Big brother, the Snake King is not happy. He Tian patted her daughter on the back and said, "Ruiman, that's my mother's distant cousin. Of course you have to call her uncle. Come on, don't be too big or too young." Okay, Huo Ruiman stepped forward. "Uncle, I didn't recognize you just now. I'm sorry." The Snake King scratched his head, looked at the niece in front of him, took out the gift just now, and said, "I don't have anything for girls, so I will give you this dagger for self-defense. There are gems on it." He Tian wanted to take it but refused to give it to her daughter. After all, it was a dagger and it was not safe. "Thank you, Uncle." Huo Ruiman grabbed the dagger gift handed over by the Snake King. "Thank you, Uncle, I like it very much." Huo Ruiman just took it out and wanted to take a look. But the dagger had already been taken over by He Tian. "Children don't play with daggers." He Tian put it away and held it in his hand instead of giving it to Huo Ruiman. "Mom, keep it for you and give it to you when you grow up." Huo Ruiman pouted her little mouth and said, "Mom, then my uncle gave it to me." "No," He Tian refused. "Uncle." Huo Ruiman looked at the freshly baked uncle gift. "How about?" The Snake King looked at He Tian and wanted to plead with Huo Ruiman, but when he saw He Tian's serious eyes, he immediately changed his mind. "Uncle will take you to choose a new gift another day." The Snake King blinked at Huo Ruiman. Usually when his sisters made trouble, he would give them gifts, and they would be very happy. When Huo Ruiman heard this, she immediately felt good about her uncle. She nodded and said, "Thank you, uncle." Huo Ruiman also smiled triumphantly at her mother. "Snake, Li Xian, come in quickly." He Tian asked, "Where have you been these past few days?" Li Xian smiled and said, "Just walk around if you have nothing to do." "Are you hungry?" He Tian asked. "By the way, can you eat this food?" "Why can't uncle eat food?" Huo Ruiman thought her mother's words were strange and was very puzzled. He Tian was surprised. "I can eat anything," the Snake King said. "I'm not picky about food anymore." "That's good." He Tian smiled. "Come on, I'll make delicious food for you, eat more." "Uncle, the food cooked by my mother is delicious." "You will definitely like it," Huo Ruiman said. "Let's go, I will give uncle my favorite chicken soup later." After Huoruiman finished speaking, she took the Snake King's hand and walked home. The Snake King felt very happy after hearing this. Huoruwa came out of his room and saw his sister walking in with an older brother. "Ruwa, come here, this is Uncle," Huoruiman introduced. "What Mom just said is her distant cousin, who is our uncle." Huoruwa was very polite and said, "Hello, uncle. Be good." When the Snake King saw the face that was somewhat similar to Huoyingji's, his expression and tone became unnatural. "I originally wanted to give Huoruwa a gift, but Snake King didn't give it to him. He Tian would have kept it anyway." Huoyingja was in the study and wouldn't come out. But Huoruiman was too hospitable and ran to the study and said, Dad, Uncle is here." Huoyingja had to come out because he was about to eat. "Welcome," Huoyingja said with a smile. In front of his wife and children, he couldn't be rude. Although in his heart, Huoyingja was still grateful to the Snake King. Although he had made arrangements before, he Tian would not get into trouble, but he would still be a little frightened. Haha, the Snake King smiled. Anyway, they both looked at each other in disgust, so there was no need to be polite. He Tian smiled and said, "Okay, Li Xian, let's go and eat." There was a lot of food on the dinner table. The Snake King liked it very much and was very satisfied with it. "Li Xian, you didn't bring any of your gifts. I'm going to buy you some clothes after dinner." He Tian was going to take Snake King out for a walk and buy some clothes. The men's clothes at home, Huoyingji's clothes, were very important to him. Some are too big to wear. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1059. Chapter 1059. The Best. 1057. As for the room we live in, there is a guest room at home, which is clean and well stocked with daily necessities. There is no need to purchase any additional items. "Mom, I have nothing to do this afternoon. I want to go with you," Huoruiman said. She also likes to go shopping with her mother. "Okay, I'll choose with Mom then." He Tian smiled and said, "Ruwa, are you going?" "Mom, I want to read at home," Huoruwa said, not liking to go out. Huoyingja made an appointment to go fishing with Zhou Yuanchao. At the same time, he didn't want to interfere too much with He Tian. In He Tianation's heart, the Snake King is her relative, and Huoyingja cannot go too far, let alone burn bridges. The little silver snake knew his identity and would not do anything to make He Tian sad or embarrassed, so Huoyingja was not worried either. Now that he is the uncle of 2 children, there is no need to worry. "I'll go fishing with Zhou Yuanchao in the afternoon," Huoyingja said. "You buy more clothes for Li Xian." The Snake King was a little surprised and raised his eyebrows. "Aren't you going to come with us?" "Haha, I made an appointment with someone before, so I'm not free," Huoyingja smiled, very politely. "Okay, you go fishing. I just happened to take Li Xian and Ruiman around," He Tian said. "In the evening, we may not come back. We may eat at a private restaurant outside." Huoruwa, who was about to go into the house to read, stopped going in. He thought for a moment and said, "Mom, I suddenly felt that it would be good to go out for a walk. It is better to travel thousands of miles than to read thousands of books." "Brother, you just want to eat delicious food," Huoruiman said with a smile. "Don't talk so grandly." Huoruiman rudely exposed her brother's excuse. "Okay, let's go," He Tian said. She drove. Snake King sat in the passenger seat, the 2 children sat in the back, and the bodyguards followed in the car. He Tian went directly to Zhang Wenwen's studio and bought all the clothes there. Because many of the clothes inside are made for actors and models. They have very good and thin figures, which is just suitable for the Snake King. The Snake King looks only 18 or 19 years old on the outside, but he is actually 1.93 meters tall, which is 4 centimeters taller than Huoyingji's 1.89 meters. As soon as she came in, Jiang Wenwen's hungry wolf eyes kept staring at the Snake King, looking up and down. Tisk, 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 this figure is really good, Jiang Wenwen said, a natural model, amazing. Sister Tian Tian, where did you find this? Tian Tian quickly pulled away Jiang Wenwen's hand and said, this is my cousin. He didn't bring much clothes with him when he came to the capital. Please give me a few sets that can be worn in this weather. By the way, there are also shoes. Hello, cousin, I am Huo Yingji's cousin, Jiang Wenwen said, we are also relatives. I am older than you. From now on, you will call me Sister Wenwen. Jiang Wenwen is now an older leftover girl. But her family has no control over her, and she enjoys her current single life. How cool and unrestrained it is. Li Xian felt a little aggrieved. His face was so arrogant that he had to be called sister wherever he went. Sister Wenwen, the Snake King, felt aggrieved, but he had to do this in order to match the identity Tian Tian gave him. Brother Li Xian is so good, Jiang Wenwen said with a smile, my sister will pack your clothes for free. By the way, I also have newly arrived shoes. I will bring some back later. I guarantee they will be better than your current shoes, comfortable. Thank you, Sister Wenwen, King Snake said with a smile, this woman is generous and forthright and worthy of friendship. Tian Tian looked at it and said, okay, I'll take these 2 sets away first, and you can make a few more in the next 2 days. Come on, let's try on the shoes. The Snake King went with Tian Tian to try on shoes, including casual shoes, sports shoes, and leather shoes. If they fit, he packed them up and took them away. Okay, Wenwen, we have to buy other things, let's go first, Tian Tian said, hurry up. You are my younger brother, so of course you have to do your best. Jiang Wenwen smiled and said, by the way, Li Xian, do you have any ideas about wanting to be a model? Model, the club king was stunned, not knowing what a model was. However, in Jiang Wenwen's eyes, she mistakenly thought that she was a child from the mountains and did not know what a model was. Tian Tian knew the true identity of the Snake King and said, okay, don't make blind arrangements. I will talk to him when we get back. If he is willing, he will be a model for you. If he is not willing, forget it. Okay, Jiang Wenwen said, go back and think about it carefully. The reward I will give you will be very generous. The Snake King didn't understand, so he didn't speak and left everything to Tian Tian. We'll talk about it then, Tian Tian said, you're busy here, so I won't bother you. I'll invite you to have dinner with me another day. Okay, when the time comes, call the others and let's have a good gathering, Jiang Wenwen said. There are always a few good sisters in life. They can talk about anything, express their dissatisfaction and complaints at work, and at the same time, they can share joy. Okay, Tian nodded, took the Snake King, and the children left. Jiang Wenwen is indeed too busy with so many guests. After they left, the old employee Xiao Yang asked excitedly, Sister Wenwen, that young man is so handsome. Haha, I'm only 18 years old, you old cows shouldn't think about eating young grass, Jiang Wenwen said, but if I become a model in the future, I can give you autographs and photos. Sister Wenwen, you have to work hard, Xiao Yang said, that figure, that waist, that butt, tisk tisk, the best. Okay, wipe your saliva quickly, Jiang Wenwen laughed and scolded, does your husband know that you are such a waste? Xiao Yang said indifferently, haha, just like appreciating a beautiful woman, I purely appreciate it and observe it with an appreciative attitude. But you're right, it's indeed the best. Maybe she can become the #1 supermodel in China. Jiang Wenwen smiled and said, by the way, I'll leave Li Xian's clothes to you. You can serve some snacks. Of course I'll take care of the handsome boy's clothes, and I'll prepare them for you tomorrow, Xiao Yang said with a smile. Sister Wenwen, go ahead and get busy. Xiao Yang was extremely lucky to have worked with Jiang Wenwen, and now he has become the sales director, with more than 20 sales receptionists below him. Whether it's work income or family, it's all good. I am determined to work with John Ween in this life. Not only is it glamorous, but there are also handsome men and beautiful women to look at, which is eye-catching. The Snake King was a little curious and asked, "Tian Tian, what is a model?" "Uncle, you are rude. You should call your mother Tian Tian, not Tian Tian," Huo Ruiman said, correcting the Snake King's slip of the tongue. Huh, the Snake King smiled bitterly. He was really Huo Yingji's son, and he was born to be angry with him. Tian Tian smiled and said, "Uncle is not used to it. It will be fine once you get used to it. It's okay to call me by my name." Huo Ruiman's eyes were a little arrogant and she said, "Then you should get used to it quickly. My mother is older than you. It's rude for you to call her by her name." The Sweetness of the Seventies. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1060. 1058. Huo Ruwa said nothing, but he agreed with his sister's words. Although he is an uncle, who knows who he is? Their only biological uncle is He Daodu. He is only 1 year older than them and is in country M. Okay, the Snake King felt aggrieved and was squeezed out by the two children. He wanted to return to the demon world, Sister Tian Tian. Seeing the awkward expression on the Snake King's face, Tian Tian smiled and said, "Let's go, my dear brother, I'll take you to Tangia Cuisine for dinner tonight." When they heard the name, the two children's eyes lit up and they wanted to go now. "Is it delicious?" Snake King asked. He now likes human food. "It's delicious. You won't forget it after eating it," Huo Ruiman said. "The ingredients are exquisite. Hurry up and buy something." "I can't wait." Tian Tian took Snake King to the mall to buy things. Finally, he bought all the things on the list and asked his bodyguard to take them home. Then the group headed to Tangia Cuisine. Because he had reserved a seat before, Tian Tian entered the box directly. Huo Yingji, Zhou Yuanchao, Wang Ying, and Zhou Ben from Wang Ying's family were also there, filling a full table. There were many people today, so Tian served a large table of desserts. After that, Tian Tian introduced Zhou Yuanchao and his wife to Snake King. "I heard that the Snake King is Tianation's cousin, and he has a very affectionate attitude." Wang Ying suffered from an occupational disease and promised on the spot to give her a set of cosmetics. During the dinner, the Snake King only focused on eating and did not pay attention to what others were talking about. "It's really delicious." When I went back in the evening, the Snake King was a little exhausted, but very satisfied. When they got home, the Snake King jumped on the roof, and the little spinner lay beside him, and the two of them looked at the moon together. "Snake King, I'm sorry," the little turtle apologized. "The master and his wife were not at home at the time, so I had to be careful. I ask for your forgiveness." "It doesn't matter," the Snake King was in a good mood after eating and drinking. "I understand your difficulty now. It seems that Tian Tian, Huo Yingji, is not omnipotent in the human world, nor is he very safe." The little spin turtle nodded and said, "Yes, we live in the human world, so we have to do things the way the human world does, not the previous rules. By the way, when you come back this time, will you go back?" "Maybe I will go back," the Snake King said. "I found that I don't like being the Snake King. When I went out to travel, I happened to feel that Tian Tian was having difficulty, so I came. However, I tore apart the space and spent a lot of effort. There was a spirit among them, and it came through the crack in space when I wasn't paying attention. One of them was a vixen, and I didn't see the previous one clearly." The little spinner turtle was shocked and said, "I want to tell the master about this and be more careful." "What are you afraid of?" "Huo Yingji is so powerful," the Snake King smiled and said. "By the way, you have also improved a lot. I will stay in the human world for a while and then go back. Maybe I will come back after I have taken care of the things in the demon world. You will also have a companion when the time comes." That's great, the little spin turtle said. You can ask the master to help you travel between the human world and the demon world freely, so you don't have to put in so much effort every time. Haha, with Huo Yingji's stinginess, he probably won't help me, Snake King said. I'd better rely on myself. One is the master and the other is a friend. The little spinner turtle is in a bit of a dilemma. Okay, let's not talk anymore, Snake King said. Anyway, I am very happy to see you, and I also cherish the beauty of the present. The little turtle smiled and said, actually, I think it's quite interesting now. If you like it, you can stay. We can practice together and go out to play together. Haha, okay, Snake King said, I also think the demon world is boring, and I discovered that practicing here is faster than the demon world, so it's better not to go back. Yes, it's good to practice here, the little turtle said. The people here are very lively, and there are many interesting things here. You will like it here. Okay, I won't say it anymore. It's time I got up early and went back to practice. I hope that one day I can transform into a human form. You should also go back and rest early. We have a long time to come and we will have a good chat later. Well, you go back, I'll sit for a while. The Snake King lay on the roof, looking up at the sky, looking at the stars in the sky, wondering if he was a certain star in the sky. The little spin turtle left, and the Snake King continued to lie silently. After a while, a figure came up. The Snake King took a closer look and saw that it was Huo Yingji. Do you want to stay in the human world forever? Huo Yingji asked. Don't want to. Have you returned to the demon world? Are you hoping that I will go back early? Snake King asked. Actually, I have given up. You don't have to worry about me coveting your wife. Haha, of course I know, otherwise you wouldn't be able to get in, Huo Yingji said. You and I have known each other for so many years, and I know a little about you. Now you want to travel between the human world and the demon world, but your skill's not enough to do that, is it? Yes, when I came here this time, two spirits took advantage of the chaos and ran into the human world from the cracks in space. I was busy saving Tian Tian and didn't have time to track them, the Snake King said. I decided to take those two once the monster is caught. Go back. Huo Yingji smiled. You are very responsible. Needless to say, I just don't want the spirits to hurt innocent people, the Snake King said. Okay, it's getting late, so I should go and rest. Huo Yingji smiled and said, actually, you don't have to be so anxious. I still have something to say. It was rare to see the good Huo Yingji be so kind. The Snake King was a little surprised and asked, with how much you hate me, you probably don't have anything good to say. Haha, it seems that you are also biased against me. Huo Yingji smiled and didn't care. He was a mature man now, how could he care about a young and impulsive young man? There's no prejudice, I'm just telling the truth, Snake King said. Okay, just tell the truth. Huo Yingji smiled and said, stay, Tian Tian treats you as a younger brother, and the three children also like you. At the same time, I will teach you the secrets of traveling between the human world and the demon world without spending too much mana. Oh? Is there such a good thing? The Snake King was stunned. Tell me, what price do I need to pay? I can't tell you the price, I just hope you stay. Huo Yingji smiled. If you like it here, then stay. This is sincere. Thank you for saving Tian Tian before. The Snake King was a little touched and felt that his kindness was rewarded. He nodded and said, well, I also want to learn more about human wisdom. Last time I used the wisdom learned from humans and easily solved the problem of our clan crisis. Anyway, the speed of cultivation here is not slower than that of the demon world, and with your guidance, this is indeed a good place. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Sing Cao. Chapter 1061. 1059. This little silver snake has also matured a lot. Haha, Huo Yingji said with a smile. Yes, there is a spirit gathering array that I carefully set up here, and you can practice in it. By the way, since you decided to stay, I decided to prepare an ID card for you. Thank you, King Snake said. This was the first time he had spoken calmly to Huo Yingji, and it was also the first time he had thanked Huo Yingji. Instead of guarding against the Snake King every day, he might as well shake hands and make peace, letting the Snake King feel his sincerity. You're welcome, you are my Hitia nation's friend and benefactor. Huo Yingji smiled. We will be relatives in the future. Haha, that's great, Snake King said. In fact, he had given up a long time ago, but he still couldn't let go. It had nothing to do with love, but he just didn't want anything unexpected to happen to the person he once liked. As long as she lives well, the Snake King doesn't care so much. He didn't understand this before, but after meeting He Tian, the Snake King understood a lot of the kindness in human beings. After the Snake King returned, he kept a smile on his lips. In fact, life in the human world is really good. The next day, Snake King went out to the company with He Tian, which was quite informative. At night, the children played around the Snake King. Huo Yingji came back, took out an ID card, and said, Li Xian, this is your ID card. From now on, you can move around Yanjing City as you please. Of course, there are some confidential places that you cannot go to. Of course, you can't break the law or commit any crime. He Tian was a little surprised. She didn't even think of getting an ID card for the Snake King, but Huo Yingji actually thought of it. By the way, aren't the two of them at odds? Thank you, eldest brother-in-law, Snake King said with a smile. Since he has already done a show, let's do a full set. He is Hitia nation's distant cousin and the uncle of several children. He is called Huo Yingji, so naturally he should be called eldest brother-in-law. From now on, he will also call He Tian's sister Tian. It was a little awkward at first, but once you get used to it, you won't feel it anymore. You're welcome, Huo Yingji smiled. If you encounter difficulties, you can ask your sister or me. I will try my best to help you. He Tian looked at this and that, and asked curiously, you seem to have reconciled. Haha, cousin, you are wrong. We have always had a good relationship, the Snake King said with a smile. It's just that we were not familiar with each other before and were not good at expressing our inner thoughts. Don't think too much, we have a good relationship, Huo Yingji smiled. He would do anything for He Tian, including enduring that little silver snake. Seeing that the relationship between the two of them was good, He Tian was naturally very happy. She nodded repeatedly and said, that's good. One of you is my brother and the other is my husband. I always felt that there was something weird between you two. Now that you have reconciled, it's best, but... Yes, I'm hungry. Cousin, hurry up and start dinner, the Snake King smiled. I can't wait to eat delicious food. Haha, if you like to eat, then you can eat more, He Tian smiled and led everyone to the dining room. After dinner, the family enjoyed the cool weather in the yard. Li Xian, you are only 18 years old. Are you going to college? Or are you working? You can't just idle around all the time, He Tian asked, having long forgotten that as a spirit, Li Xian needs to practice. However, Li Xian found that practicing in the yard at night was better than during the day, so after listening to He Tian's words, he said, I don't know what to do. Cousin and brother-in-law, do you have any suggestions? I suggest you go to school, He Tian said. After all, you are only 18 years old, which is the age to study. The Snake King shook his head and said, I don't want to study. I only need to read those things once. It's meaningless. Cousin, find me those glamorous, exciting and wonderful jobs. Huo Yingji thought for a while and said, Tian, Didn't Wenwen always want to find a model? Model, He Tian was startled, and then she remembered that when she went shopping for clothes before, Jiang Wenwen kept looking at the back of the Snake King, looking like she was making a fuss. Isn't that a sheep falling into a tiger's mouth? Model, I heard it from my eldest cousin yesterday. Snake King nodded. Okay, that's it. I'll report to cousin Wenwen tomorrow. Seeing that Snake King likes it, He Tian doesn't stop him, but I believe Jiang Wenwen will protect Snake King for her sake. Okay, as long as you like it. He Tian smiled. I'll take you there tomorrow. After the discussion, the Snake King was satisfied and took all the fashion magazines from He Tian's home to look through them and add some fashion knowledge. He would join this circle in the future. Naturally, we need to know ourselves and our enemies to be victorious in every battle. He Tian saw King Snake's intentions and did not dampen his enthusiasm. You are indeed tall enough to be a model. He Tian smiled and said, if you don't want to do it, tell your sister and I will change it for you when the time comes. Well, I will try my best. The Snake King became more interested after reading those fashion magazines. The next day, He Tian took Snake King to Jiang Wenwen's studio. Jiang Wenwen was very happy when she saw the Snake King coming. She immediately gave her the highest salary and asked someone to take pictures of the Snake King on the spot. Unexpectedly, the effect of the photo was better, so Snake King entered the fashion circle from this day on. Not only took some photos of Jiang Wenwen's studio, Jiang Wenwen also asked some people at the forefront of domestic fashion to introduce work to Snake King. So the Snake King is busy every day, and at the same time, he can make a lot of money every month. After eating and drinking at He Tian's house for free, King Snake handed it to He Tian and said, cousin, this is the living expenses, you do the math. He Tian was stunned, saw the bank book in her hand, and said, Li Xian, what kind of relationship do we have? We still need living expenses from you. No need, you are my cousin now and a relative of my family, let alone yours. You keep the money for food. I'm a monster, what's the use of asking for money? The Snake King didn't care, and threw it to He Tian. By the way, eldest cousin, I really like my current job. I also heard that someone asked me to make a movie. As for the TV series, I just couldn't handle being a model alone, so I gave it up. He Tian thought for a while and said, you start as a model. If you really like this job, I will find you an agent and assistant to help you with work and take care of your life. Is this still possible? The Snake King was stunned. In this line of work, you can still have someone to take care of you. Now is a market economy. As long as there is money, someone will naturally do it. He Tian said, go back and rest. Leave this matter to me. Since the Snake King likes it, He Tian will give her the greatest support. The Sweetness of the 70s. Author, Chi Xing Cao. Chapter 1062. 1060. So He Tian remembered Tang Qian's previous idea of opening an entertainment company. If Snake King likes the entertainment industry, she will also participate in the business, so that she can support Snake King's work. In this case, there is no need to worry that Snake King will be cheated by some rich men and women because of his good looks. He Tian not only pays attention to her own business and career, but also pays attention to her children's studies, her husband's work, and now is Snake King. However, these are what He Tian is willing to do, and she is very happy. He Tian's vacation is over and she hasn't reported to the swimming team yet, which makes Coach Wu and Zhu's Hitao nervous. So, together, the two made an appointment to come to He Tian's home together, hoping that He Tian would come to participate in training as soon as possible. Their goal is the 1988 Olympics, so they must not let things slip. Teacher He, do you think that when the time is right, come and join the training? Coach Wu said with a smile, we are all thinking of you and waiting for you. Only then did He Tian remember that the vacation was over. Time flies so fast, I thought I was on vacation. He Tian Tian smiled. This time it was her fault that she didn't remember the time. I will return to the team tomorrow. Don't worry, I will always be here. Even at home doing exercises will not affect the following training. After hearing what He Tian Tian said, Coach Wu and Zhu's Hitayo were finally relieved. That's great, we are waiting for you at the training center, Coach Wu said, and then talked about some future games and plans, so that He Tian Tian knew what to expect. Afterwards, Coach Wu and Zhu's Hitayo had lunch before going back. The Snake King was a little surprised when he heard that He Tian Tian was now a national athlete, but later he was relieved. It turned out to be the effect of the essence of water. He Tian Tian likes it very much, so support He Tian Tian. He Tian Tian, who returned to the swimming pool, is really like that sentence, like a fish in water. Very enjoyable. This is why He Tian Tian is still willing to continue participating in sports after experiencing this plane crash. On the one hand, it is for love and hobby, on the other hand, it is also for a happy ending. After participating in the 1988 Olympic Games jointly held by South Korea and Japan, and the clubhouse built by Zhang Wenwen in the suburbs is expected to be put into use next year, she will not need to use the national team's swimming pool. Because of her performance in the World Championships, He Tian Tian is now qualified to participate in the Olympics, so she will not participate in other events in 2007. Coach Wu was very happy to see He Tian Tian return and personally asked He Tian Tian to come to the office to talk. Teacher He, I'm really afraid that you won't participate in the competition, Coach Wu sighed. This was what he was most worried about before. He Tian Tian chuckled and said, I like to finish things from beginning to end. Participate in the Olympics. Okay, Coach Wu praised repeatedly, with you participating in the Olympics, our swimming team has great hopes. It's a safe gold medal. When the time comes, there will be many experts gathered, and I will try my best. It's too early to talk about gold medals now, He Tian Tian said modestly. Coach Wu, is there anything else? If not, I'll go practice first. Coach Wu smiled and said, no big deal, I just want to know what your plans are after the Olympics. Are you interested in joining the coaching staff? He Tian Tian smiled and said, not yet. When she retires, she has already invested in Zhang Wenwen's club, and can set up a club to entertain herself and make money from external business. Oh, Coach Wu was a little disappointed. It would be a pity not to pass on such a good talent. It's a pity, but I respect your choice. If you want to change your mind, you can tell me at any time. However, it would also be nice if I could get He Tianation's experience by then. Yes, I will. He Tian nodded and stood up to leave. As soon as she went out, she saw Jiao Lihong coming towards her, but it was Director Jiao's office. Jiao Lihong looked at He Tian Tian with a somewhat complicated look. This woman was too powerful. With He Tian Tian, she could only be ranked second. But her uncle didn't help her deal with He Tian Tian. Hey, God is not very discerning. Even if the plane crashes, this woman is still alive. She is really lucky. Maybe the two of them didn't have enough hatred, but because of the competition, Jiao Lihong could hardly control her jealousy. After the World Championships, He Tian Tian had an accident and did not come to the team. Jiao Lihong is very happy. In this way, she can become a banner-carrying figure in the 1988 Olympic Games. As long as she gets a meaningful gold medal, her future is limitless. Uncle, he has promised her and will pave the way for her. Jiao Lihong works hard and hopes to achieve her goal. However, He Tianation's arrival shifted everyone's attention to He Tian Tian, as if He Tian Tian was the savior. It's just an old woman. Who knows if in another year and a half, this woman will not be able to keep up physically and her speed will be affected. This is not just Jiao Lihong's guess, there are also other people's guesses and concerns. He Tian Tian doesn't worry about this, just do your best. From this day on, He Tian resumed her normal training life. Uncle, then He Tian is here. Jiao Lihong whispered, not daring to look at her uncle. Director Jiao felt a little sad when he saw his niece like this. He had always kept in mind his niece's efforts, and he had watched her grow up. She was similar to his own daughter. At the same time, he also hoped that his niece could have a good position in the sports bureau. However, all this is based on Jiao Lihong's performance. Yeah, Director Jiao nodded. He was very conflicted about He Tian. He Tian's good results are also his political achievements. His performance in the World Championships some time ago made him stand out in front of other teams. In 2 years, he will take another step forward. Therefore, Director Jiao is still very satisfied. However, from a personal relationship, Director Jiao hopes that his niece will achieve good results so that he can be trained well in the future. Uncle, what should I do in the future? No matter how hard I try, I can't surpass that old woman. Jiao Lihong couldn't control herself and burst into tears, thinking that her uncle was unwilling to help her. Seeing his niece like this, Director Jiao quickly took out a handkerchief and said, wipe your tears, why are you crying? There is still 1.5 years left. In this year and a half, you are still young and have more room for development. Exercise well and don't think about it. Seeing her uncle say this, Jiao Lihong felt a little more comfortable and choked up, Uncle, I don't want to win a silver medal, I want to win a gold medal. Director Jiao knew that Jiao Lihong was talented and might really win a gold medal. Having an Olympic gold medal is of great significance. Well, let's do this. Now He Tian is focusing on those events, you stay away, so you don't have to compete with her, Director Jiao said, thinking of this solution.